This is a bucket of excess beeswax that I scraped off of the top frames of the hives as I went through and did inspections. Some of this may have been burr comb. It's just basically waste comb that was in the hives. In the past, I might have thrown it on the ground, but I've started saving it, especially after encouragement from some of my viewers. I always knew I probably should, but just didn't take the time. And now I just try to keep a bucket with me and just throw it in there as I scrape it off. And that way we can utilize it to produce something kind of like this. You see this beautiful bar of beeswax can be used for all kinds of things. And so this is a 1 pound block. I want to take you through that process. If you like what you see, if you would just hit the like button, I'd appreciate it, just down below. Let me show you my process. Here's my setup. You can see here, of course, is the wax that I have not yet processed. Notice there's a tarp underneath. It's very important that you protect whatever surface you're on. It might even be a good idea to do it like I'm doing it in the garage or outdoors. If you spill any, like in your kitchen or anything, it's very difficult to clean it up. And so I just put a reasonable amount of the beeswax in the crock pot. This is actually a pretty big crock pot. It's a 9.5 liter, I think is what the box said over there. And I don't put just a ton of beeswax in there. I just like to have a decent sized block when I'm doing this. I'm trying to get it as pure as I can. I just, do it a little bit at a time. And so I guess you could pack more in there if you want to. So I use a paint strainer. These are the same paint strainers I use when I strain my honey. And it works really well. It gets almost all the particles out of the beeswax except for the really fine stuff, and we have a process to take care of that in a little bit. It does eliminate some steps to this process. I like to make sure the crock pot is on low. I don't want the wax to get too hot and burn. And you can just leave the lid off, but I usually put the lid on it, especially if I'm here to kind of watch it. That helps it melt a little faster. You can see over there I have the first block that is hardening right now. Okay, so this is melted now. See, it's got that, they call that slum gum. That's kind of the waste on top. That's what that filter is going to grab. And then we have some muslin right here, some material you can use, just muslin or any type of, even like a t-shirt or any kind of type of fabric works well. So what I do is just pull this out like this, get all the junk out of it. All right, I'll set it over there with the previous waste. And then I just take this and gently pour it into this. This right here, hoping that it won't fall in, which of course it does. Could put like a rubber band or something around it to hold it in place, but as long as we get the wax in there, we'll just drain it out in a second. That beautiful wax. I think it's going to be fine. Let me just take this. Let's drain it through. Like that. I'm actually going to set this over here and we can reuse this for the next batch. Like that. So let this cool, it'll look like this. That actually looks like it might be a little bit dirty. We might have to refilter that one. I used an old piece of muslin on that, but I think this is going to be really clean with that fresh new piece of muslin that we used. Okay, so we let this set overnight and the wax is totally hard now. Looks like it's going to be a beautiful block of wax. What we're going to do now is we're going to dump it out on the grass here, see what it looks like. Sometimes this can be a little challenging. Look how pretty that is. This is cleaner than it usually is. Sometimes you'll have a little bit of propolis on here, which you can easily just scrape off. All right, so there's a beautiful block of wax. And now we're gonna go on to the next step to actually get it in the mold into those beautiful 1 pound blocks of wax. I'm up in the kitchen and we're gonna finish up this process here. So this is a crock pot here that's dedicated to only clean wax. We keep clean wax in here and then we melt it down whenever we need to for any type of project. And then we just let it harden in there. As you can see, it's starting to melt a little bit now. It's getting warm. Here's our mold. This mold is a 1 pound mold. You can get it from any beekeeping supply company. Here is our beautiful block of wax. I can't believe how clean that was. Normally they're a little bit dirty on the bottom, especially from maybe some propolis that leaks through when you strain it, but boy, that one turned out perfect. This is more typical of what you see over here. I've already worked on this one a little bit, but it'll usually have a thin layer of stuff on it that you just kind of have to scrape off and clean off, and I'm still working on this to get it perfect. So I'm gonna go break this up, and we'll put the pieces in here, let them melt down, and then we'll pour us a block of wax. The wax is melted now, so we're gonna just use this little cup here. You can use a ladle, anything you want, but this will work fine. I haven't done it since last year, so. And this is a perfect size for 1 pound, so you don't have to worry too much about it. It'll just weigh, it'll just be perfect. Just gotta fill it all the way up to the top. Let's just try it. There it is. And now it'll cool. And in the morning we'll check it. It should just be a perfect block of wax. I intentionally poured a little wax on this parchment paper so you can see what happens. Check it out. Just peels right up. Look at that. Perfect piece of wax just peels right up, so it's so easy to clean up. These little pieces of wax right here like this. They just slide right off. So not a bad idea if you want to mess with wax. You put a little parchment paper down underneath it and you won't have the mess that you otherwise would. This is one of the coolest things to me about wax when it starts to cure. It's neat stuff. Okay, it's hardened now. We're going to take it out. There it is. Beautiful block of beeswax. How about that? Okay, take care and be safe.